Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Zdenek's English podcast. And today here with me is Emma. Hi, Emma.
Hello, how are you?
Hello, I'm all right. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm very well.
Great. Well, you are kind of a big name in online teaching, I would say, personally. You need no introduction, Emma.
No, I still like to introduce myself because some people don't know me.
Okay, I'll say the things I know myself. Yeah. So
Okay.
So you teach on Twitch. You teach English on Twitch. So gaming.
Yep.
You've got pronunciation with Emma.
Yep.
Which I guess it's on YouTube, on Instagram. It's everywhere, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I'm everywhere. Even on Pinterest, which I hardly really use, but yeah, I'm even on there. Literally everywhere.
What is it even? I don't even know what that is.
I don't know. Someone told me that I should be posting my content on there, so I post my content on there, but I really don't understand it, I'll be honest. I focus mostly on YouTube and Instagram. Those are my two main things, and Twitch as well for the gaming stuff.
And you're also a podcaster.
Yes, very recently. Yeah, the past few months, probably about 4 or 5 months ago, I started doing a podcast just for fun, just to I kind of joke with my podcast listeners that it's like my kind of ranting time, and I usually use it as like a free way to get things off my chest, and it works.
Yeah, no, I can confirm because I'm a listener myself. It's called Pronunciation with Emma, and it's
No, it's not.
Am I saying it correctly? No, Procrastination podcast. Oh my God, what am I saying? Procrastination podcast.
I thought you just outed yourself.
I'll have to do the whole thing again, Emma, and this is terrible. I'm sorry.
No, we're keeping it in. We're keeping it in now. I love the chaos of a podcast. No, we'll keep it in. Don't worry. No.
Is it Procrastination with Emma or is it Procrastination podcast? I can't remember which one it is.
The Procrastination podcast. Yeah.
I got the definite article as well. How could I?
Need it because it's the only It is the procrastination podcast. Yeah.
Once the podcast is in your podcasting app, you kind of forget what it is. You just see the icon, and then you just click new episode. That's it, and off you go.
That's true.
But I have to say that I love that podcast, and you are right. It's kind of like it's a bit of a rant. It's you get your things off the chest, and I like how authentic you are there. For me, it's a deadly combination, and that's why you are so successful online, in my humble opinion.
Oh, thank you.
Deadly combination of expertise, because you're educated. You've got obviously a master's degree in, is it linguistics?
So my bachelor's degree is in linguistics, but my master's degree is in TESOL, education TESOL.
Yeah. So you know what you're doing. You know your onions. And
I like to think I do. I like to think I know what I'm doing.
I can see that. Yeah. And the combination of that with the authenticity. So for me, it's like do you find that when you're authentic online, people kind of warm up to you more and they're more likely to follow you?
I'm not sure whether it leads to people following you, but I definitely feel that there's this relatability, because if you look on YouTube in particular, you have this very polished world. Like everyone has, super high tech equipment, like, they're shooting in 4K and everything's like super crystal clear and high definition, blah, 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 the best audio. And sometimes that can create a bit of distance between people. And having a podcast that's just like, I don't even have an intro on my podcast. Like I literally have nothing. It's just like, hey guys, how was your week? What you been up to? This sort of thing. Like that's my intro. And I get so many comments from people and emails, messages for people just saying like, I really like that, because so many, not just English teachers, but just channels in general, they're very polished and very clean, and having something a bit raw and a bit rough, is not as clean and polished as some things. It's different. It's almost like going back to how YouTube and things were, like, in when YouTube first came out, whenever that was, it was like, the 2000s. And it's kind of going back to that. So I don't know whether it makes people follow me, but I know it definitely helps people relate a bit more, especially new teachers. It makes them think, hold on, if Emma can create like a rubbish little podcast, just, sitting in her living room or whatever, or make some videos on her phone and, achieve like, thousands of views per video or something, like, I could do that. I could do it too. And I think that's really nice. I think that's more important, like inspiring people, creating that relatability instead of trying to get more followers. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. Yeah, I have to say, like, you really seemed like someone I would like to approach to have you on my podcast, because obviously I follow more teachers and they are all cool for all their different reasons. But then there are also some teachers that I choose not to follow. And perhaps it's because they are a little bit like too much by the book, or some of them don't know what they're doing. And for me, this is a great combination. Someone who knows what they're doing and the things they are saying make sense to me, because we are colleagues, right? We are both English teachers.
Yep.
As well as that, it's also like fun, and you're really not hiding behind your opinions. You say what you think, and you also call people out, even if it's little bit controversial and risky for you, because it could get you potentially in trouble. You might get some hate and things like that. So I like that. I respect that.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. I'm glad someone does. Like, I'm not a horrible confrontational person or anything like that. But yeah, if I see like one of the classic kind of, join my course and in 1 month you'll sound like a native, I will happily call that person out and be like, no, backed by what science, please teach the rest of us teachers this amazing method, then we could help our students that, get them fluent in 1 month. Like, it's not possible. Like those kind of things, because some people think I take it a bit too far, but I think it is so detrimental to a lot of learners' mental health. Like they get so stressed out. Like, you're a language learner yourself, I'm a language learner myself, and we both know the struggles of like what it's like to be bombarded with these ads of like, you should be fluent in 3 months, and you start to think like, oh my god, I've been learning this language for 3 years and I can't even make a sentence. Am I stupid? Yeah. And people really doubt themselves. They get so frustrated, and this then creates like a bit of a lock, like not a lock, but a block. That should be the word.
Yeah, like what Krashen describes, like the affective filter.
That's it, exactly. Yeah, as soon as I start saying like, Krashen's theory of the affective filter, students are like, what? But yeah, it's basically like a mental block, isn't it? That stops them from progressing. And it's true, it happens. So if we can kind of remove these myths and show students that, look, if you could learn a language in 3 months, then we would all be fluent in like 10 languages, but we're not, because it's not possible,
Exactly. Yeah. And there are other things, like you mentioned, that speak English like a native. Well, that's what you just said. That's completely true. But also for me as an English teacher, I've told you about this, and I've ranted about this on this podcast many times before. For me, it's a reason. No, not a reason, but it's why English teachers like me are discriminated against as well. And it annoys me, and it creates this stereotype that you, not specifically you, but you natives, you are somehow superior, far superior to us non-native English teachers.
Yeah.
So it annoys me, and I like that you call it out. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's something that really bugs me, does this, because I sometimes get messages from people and they say, oh, I'm looking for a native teacher, and it's like, all right, shall I just take my qualifications and use them as toilet paper? Like you're literally choosing me because of my passport. And I find that insulting. You know what I mean? Like,
Absolutely.
I feel like they're not even looking at what I'm actually capable of. They're literally looking at where I was born and my passport. And that irritates me. But of course, like it's far more irritating for non-native teachers going for jobs and things like that been turned away.
It drags me up the wall. Wall.
I've seen some ridiculous adverts. Like there used to be a Facebook group many years that I was in, and we would share these adverts with each other. And it was while I was doing my master's degree, and we were talking about the topic of globalization, and we were talking about like the effect of English and globalization and things like this. It was an interesting topic. And we got on the topic of adverts, job adverts, and we were looking at ones in particularly China. And I don't know if they still do it now, but when I was doing my master's, which was like 5-6 years ago, my God, time flies, doesn't it? Like 5 or 6 years ago.
Don't ask me when I did mine, okay?
I won't. I won't, don't worry. But yeah, we were analyzing some adverts from this Facebook group. We kind of brought them into the class to talk about in this seminar. And some of the adverts, like, of course, many of them were like native speakers only, no experience or qualifications required. And it's like, oh God, I just know I'm going to be correcting those teachers. Podcast listeners, I'm using inverted commas here, you know, teachers' mistakes that they're going to teach. It'll be us too that correct those mistakes that they teach. But also they would ask for things like hair color and eye color. So there was one advert I found, and it said, oh God, what was it? It was something along the lines of native speaker, looking for native speaker teacher, something like this. Native speaking English teacher, must have blonde hair and blue or green eyes. And I was like, what? How does having blue or green eyes?
I guess it's a way of saying they must be white, you know, because.
Well, many adverts did specify like white teachers only. And I was like, are you kidding me?
Like if you say blonde and blue eyes, that sounds less racist, right? Technically, but essentially it's the same thing, right?
Yeah. But you're completely right. Yeah. I was so shocked. I mean, I couldn't believe it. But yeah, I mean, there are friends of mine who have lived in other countries and they've literally been paid less because of their skin color, or even because like they were a woman, you know, or because of their hair color, eye color. Like, how can you pay someone less because of like their hair color? Like, I don't know. I find it such a crazy thing, but it just shows how crazy this industry can get.
And I feel, Emma, that it's even worse online, because I came back from England. I was an English teacher in England, in London. Yeah, I worked there for a language school, and before that, I had always worked for a school, always, right? But when I came back, I realized I wanted to start being a freelancer, and so many obstacles were thrown in my way online, and I could see like this is a real issue. Even the famous company italki, that everybody speaks about. I tried to apply there for a job, you know, because you kind of work for yourself. You choose your own material. It's you, right? You kind of like work for them, but you do your own thing, and then if the students are happy with you, they will keep having lessons with you. That's the system they have there, and you kind of get through them. I couldn't even apply because they asked me what my first language was, and the only option I could choose was English. So I was like, okay, well, what can I do? That's
so
not my
weird.
first language. Was it nationality? No, I think it was, what's your first language? What's your L1? Okay, so if my L1 is not English, that means I can't apply. You know, non-native speakers need not apply. What's going on there? You know, and that really like put me off. You know,
that's
trying
so
to work
strange.
for someone online. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I haven't personally used italki, but some friends of mine have, and of course I'm familiar with the website and stuff. And like I was having a look for Japanese teachers, and there were people who were not born in Japan and Japanese wasn't their first language who were teaching Japanese. So
Listen, I
is it
don't know,
just
but
English?
it's
That's so
possible that
weird.
they have changed their rules, but this was about 1 year ago. This was about 1 year
No,
ago.
it's
So
quite
they may have
recent.
changed their
Yeah.
rules because they may have had a lot of applicants like me or something like that. I don't know, but
Mm.
it's just weird. And I find this discriminatory. So I don't know.
We
Anyway,
need to write them a stern letter. That's what we need to do.
I don't
No, we
have.
do.
But I heard all these ideas on your podcast too. So I'm happy that I found someone that I can relate to. And
Mm.
yeah, I can see that you're very very good at what you're doing. But let's talk about some details here. So you also have, now I'm gonna mess it up again, pronunciation with Emma, right?
Well done. Yeah.
Thank God. I was about to say English with Emma, or something.
No, there's another teacher. Actually, I don't know if it is, but it'd be funny if there was English with Emma, pronunciation with Emma, and we hated each other.
Or even worse, speak English like a native with Emma.
Oh, don't. No. I've got pronunciation with Emma and procrastination with Emma.
Good. That should be easy to remember, Zdenek, right?
In theory, but I don't think everyone does.
You're preparing for an interview with her as well.
You need to do your research on your guests.
I did do that. I did do that.
Never mind. But yeah, pronunciation with Emma. That's it.
So I just wonder, because obviously with 4 skills, right? Speaking, writing, listening, reading, and then we have systems, grammar, vocabulary, pronunciation. Some people consider Discord one of them is a Discord. No, discourse.
Yeah.
Discourse.
I thought you were talking about Discord as in the app. That's
Discord,
how far I am in the
that's
gaming world. I'm like, oh yeah, Discord, yeah. the app.
Because I'm running one like online community on Discord. That's why I keep talking about it all the time. So
yeah, I know what you mean. The discourse.
So yeah, exactly. So I was just wondering, why did you decide to go for pronunciation specifically? Because you could have chosen any of the other skills or systems. So why pronunciation?
So I'll go all the way back in time to when I first started teaching freelance, pretty much like when I first started teaching freelance. I was teaching a lot of students in England. So they came to England to work or to study or whatever. And I found that they had great difficulty understanding people's accents and like people's ways of speaking here. So I would say stuff like, how far is it? And they're like, how far? Far? What's that? I was like, far. I would have to like change the accent. They're like, yeah, far. Okay. And I thought, okay, there's clearly a gap here in like understanding. They're clearly not understanding words like beer, bear, far, car, because of the R's at the end, right? They learned it.
Basically, at these levels, they would already know all these easy words.
They know them.
Understand when you said it or
That's
someone else did.
Yeah, it was clearly just like an accent thing. So I was like, okay, this is really annoying because I almost have to put on like an American accent when I talk to students, and this isn't right. So especially if they're living in England, So I tried to have a look on YouTube for some materials to help with listening and pronunciation, because, listening and pronunciation are like sisters. They go together really well. And I couldn't really find anything. And anything I could find, it was either American, which, I mean, is great, but we're not in America, so it's not useful for my students. I'm trying to get them away from that, I'm trying to bring them over back to England to like different accents here. So I found some teachers on YouTube, but they would never go into much detail. It was very, I don't kind of want to badmouth the teachers on YouTube, let's say, but they didn't go into the level of depth that I was looking for. And
so when was this? When was this again? Like, was it like how many years ago?
So when I first started looking for these sorts of materials, it would probably be like 8 or 9 years ago. No, it'll be less than that. It'll be like 6 or 7 years ago. And
so when you mention like going into details, do you mean something like aspects of connected speech, like linking and elision and things like that?
Yep, exactly. Okay. Yep. So I would say things like, "Oh, it sure is," and students would be like, "Why are you saying sure is but not sure? Why don't you say sure like that?"
Are you saying sure?
Yeah, you say sure.
Why does it sound like sure as well that you have at the sea? What's going on there?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, poor students. So I tried to find materials like 6 or 7 years ago for this sort of thing that went into detail. And like, as I said, the materials I found, they didn't go into enough detail, or they really skimmed over topics. Like, I could tell, as someone who had studied phonetics, I should say, phonetics and phonology, that they didn't really know how to explain things. And they were kind of saying like, put your mouth like this. And it was almost like more of just like a sexy sort of, show rather than like actually teaching.
That's enough sometimes,
Yeah, it got some of my students' attention, that's for sure. So I was like, this isn't really what I want. It's not what I'm looking for. So I finished my master's degree, and I remember I'd taken some time off to finish my dissertation, and I had very little money left in my bank account, and I thought, oh my God, what am I gonna do? Like, I need to try and get some money fast to pay for my bills because I've taken so much time off to study for this master's. So I decided to plunge into the world of going completely freelance, because at the time I was technically freelance, but I was working with an online company at the same time. So I was doing some like online company work, and then also like doing private classes and things at the same time. So I was freelance, but had the safety net of the company, let's say. But yeah, I had to leave them. So I was like, what do I do? And I thought, well, the city I'm in, if I only target students who are living in my city, I'm very limited. I need to target the world if I can. And the only way to do that is to start teaching online and to start getting students online. So I started an Instagram page, and I was terrified. I was so scared. And then after a few months, I was like, I'm going to have to get into the world of YouTube, because, YouTube is the biggest search engine. It's the best way for students to find you. I'm going to have to take the plunge.
So when you said you were scared, so what were you scared of? You were scared of it not working out or not taking off, or were you scared of showing yourself on camera, or what was the thing that sort of made you a little bit, worried about this?
It's putting myself on the internet. You put yourself in a very, very vulnerable position when you put pictures and videos of yourself on the internet, and the internet is not the nicest place. Unfortunately, many people who have a level of anonymity, I can never say that word, hopefully I said it right then, anonymity, it brings out the worst in them, because they feel that they're safe hiding behind this anonymity. Word of the day.
Third syllable, right?
Anonymity. And I can't even count the syllables. I'm thinking so much about how to pronounce it. I can't count the syllables. There'll be people listening.
I'm just wondering which one is stressed. I think the third one, right?
Anonymity is the third one. Anonymity. I don't know why I can't say it. It's one of those words that there are certain words I can't say. I did a video on it once, and it was another one is cardamom pods. Cardamom.
What does it even mean? I have never heard that word before. What is that?
Cardamom pubs. I can't say it. I want to say cardamom pubs, right? It's like a little seed, and you put it in dishes, and it brings a lot of like flavors and spices and stuff. I just cannot say
this, so I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I use it quite a lot in like curries and things like that. And yeah, I always see cardamom pubs. It's not pronounced, listeners. It is not pronounced cardamom pubs. I just can't say it. Just like anonymity. Okay. Those are the two things I can't say. Pronunciation, I can't pronounce all words.
I think all teachers have something like that. Some teachers, they have certain words they can't spell, or they always misspell them or something. It always happens, right?
Don't get me started on spelling. My spelling is terrible. You know when people are like, yeah, get a native teacher. They're the best. Can't even say cardamom pubs. Can't even say anonymity. Can't spell. If a word has double letters, I can't do it. The dictionary is my best friend, honestly.
So sometimes I think it's about the charm, because they just that confidence that comes from those native speakers. Sometimes it's just they sound somehow more charming. So in a way, even though I'm really against all this, in a way I kind of get it, but I'm on the opposite side. So what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to show my students that I can do the same job, and in some ways even a better job. So or do it differently, to give a different perspective. And let's agree that it's actually quite nice to have all different teachers or different teachers in your learning, to experience different things. And well, each teacher can enrich you in a different way, right? So
that's very true. Yeah, very, very true. In my experience, I found that different teachers I've had, they've helped me with different things. They could, like, maybe they've explained something in a certain way where it's finally like, oh, after 5 years, I finally understand that thing, Sometimes just the way they explain it clicks better.
Exactly. I've got a student. I've been teaching her for 5 years, and I know that it's too long. Yeah, I know that she should find a different teacher already. It's just I can feel it, but it's difficult because we have such a good chemistry and we get along. So it's also a little bit of comfort zone for the student, and. But at that point, when you have a teacher for so long, I feel like maybe you should try something else, for your own good, for your own benefit.
So if you are the student that is being talked about here, you can come to my YouTube channel.
Oh yeah, don't listen to the next English podcast.
Stop listening to this podcast and just come listen to my content.
Exactly. And if for some reason you are Emma's follower, maybe Emma decided to share this on her social media, then you can come over to me as well, to return the favor.
but you also need to continue watching my stuff as well.
I think we will agree on that. How about you do it all? Guys.
Just listen to us both. Just listen to us both. But anyway, what were we talking about? Oh yeah, the story of how I got started on YouTube and stuff. That was it. Yeah, how I got started with like pronunciation. So yeah, I was basically just filling a gap that was in the market. So even though I called myself my channel, I should say, Pronunciation with Emma, really the reason why I started it wasn't to help students with their pronunciation. It was actually to help them with their listening skills. But because pronunciation and listening, as I said, are like these sisters and they go together so well, you can't really teach one without the other. And I always say in my videos and whatever, like podcasts and live streams and stuff, like, you don't have to say exactly what I'm saying here, but so long as you understand it, that's the key thing. It's like what is it, like connected speech. You don't have to use connected speech. You don't have to do anything you don't want to do. But if you are made aware of it, you are going to start noticing it. And then you're going to start thinking, oh, you know what? I remember that lesson, about connected speech, and it makes it easier to understand this person now. I see how they're connecting the words together. I see how that syllable's weakened when we talked about sentence stress, blah, blah, blah. And it helps them so much with their listening. So that's how I got started. I should have called myself Listening with Emma, but that sounds a little bit, I don't know, a bit sad. Like, listen to me. But I think Pronunciation with Emma is better than Listening with Emma,
It has a good ring to it, yeah.
Yeah, maybe in a parallel universe, I called myself Listening with Emma. Who knows?
But talking about aspects of connected speech, so what you're saying is, so when it comes to linking, what's more important is the understanding rather than producing the language. So well, if you look at other aspects of pronunciation, I don't know, stress, sentence stress, word stress, intonation, would you say that the other aspects are actually important when it comes to producing the language? Because if you, for example, if you don't use the stress correctly, you will often be misunderstood, and it will lead to a communication breakdown. Would you agree that it's kind of, the linking is kind of at a lower level actually than compared to stress, for example?
Yeah, things like stress, definitely. If you want to, it's funny because I literally just had a lesson with a student and we were talking about stress and intonation, and he said to me, is it important if I use it? And I said, well, yes and no. Like, it's not important in the sense that you won't really be misunderstood, if you don't stress things in a particular way or whatever. But it's also important because it helps, like, it adds another layer of meaning. Like, you can convey meaning and message with the words that you say, but also you convey meaning and message through your intonation and the stress that you use, the tone and things like that. So it's not something that should be neglected, I think. That's for sure.
Especially when it comes to like a student that has the first language that is so far off from English. Let's say some of the Asian languages, like they are tonic languages, and the intonation is so different, or the stress patterns are so different that if they never really follow any correct stress patterns and pronunciation, they will really be misunderstood, or they will not be understood at all. So it is important.
Yeah, that's it's a very good point. And I think as well, it can affect how people understand them, because I mean, like, speed is a really common problem. Like, you get some students who try and speak the speed that they speak in their first language. So when they speak fast English, I can't understand them. Yeah, it's too fast. It's like, it's like someone has recorded them and they're hitting, forward, and they're just like, like super fast. And teaching them things like sentence stress helps them understand, like, speed is not important here. It's the words that you're stressing. Well, I should say syllables that you're stressing. That's the most important. Like, focus on those ones. And then it helps them, like, bring their speed down a little bit, giving them more time to articulate, and therefore they're more likely to be understood. So Absolutely. It's like a win-win. They communicate better, they understand better. Win-win.
Exactly. So which of the things do you like teaching the most? Is it homophones? Is it, I don't know, elision, or what is it? When it comes to pronunciation, individual sounds, vowel sounds, triphthongs.
the cheeky triphthongs. I'm trying to think, what do I like teaching? I quite like teaching in stress and intonation, because it turns into more of like a music lesson. I also really like teaching linking and elision, and ellipsis, elision. That's not one. No, it's ellipsis I wanted to say. Sorry. Linking and ellipsis and assimilation. That's what I was trying to think. Yeah, I mixed it with something else. But yeah, like assimilation, because these sorts of things, they like blow students' minds. You know, when I teach connected speech, they're like, oh, what? You connect the words together? When I talk about ellipsis, they're like, oh, you remove the words? What do you mean? My teacher always told me we had to say the pronouns, and you're telling me we can cut the pronouns? I'm like, yep. Or yeah, like in assimilation, where we change sounds and students are like, oh my god, now I understand why I don't understand people. And you know, it's like a light bulb goes off in their head, and it's so amazing to see. Like every teacher, I hope, has had this moment where they see their students like you know, like their mind just explodes when you teach them something. And I always find that they're the topics that kind of get the students the most, you know. Yeah, I like teaching those.
They didn't know about, and then suddenly sort of opens their mind, and it's like, whoa.
Yeah, because then
amazing, like when it kind of clicks. I remember getting these feelings that you're describing right now when I was at the university, because when I was I had already known how to speak English to a decent level, I think, because I had lived in the UK for 1 year or something.
Right.
And then when I took the phonology and phonetics courses, suddenly it started all make more sense when it came to pronunciation. And I was quite disappointed that the teachers that I'd had before, they didn't ever teach me anything about that, actually.
Yes.
Never. Like at that time when I was studying, it was not really taught here.
It's still not. Like pronunciation is so neglected, and
like know the sounds, the individual sounds. Possibly they might know a bit of IPA, but maybe it's because some of the teachers are not confident about this thing themselves, or do not understand it enough, or I don't know. But do you think it's still neglected?
I definitely, I think it is. I really have this obsession almost with focusing on niches and neglected areas. Like, you know, pronunciation is definitely a very neglected area in English language teaching. When I was doing my master's, I wanted to do my final project on pronunciation. Unfortunately, there was like a problem with the university. The tutor actually left, who was teaching that module on pronunciation, so I couldn't have her as a supervisor. But I ended up focusing on pragmatics, which is also another, like some people kind of joke like, oh, pragmatics with Emma. It's like pronunciation, pragmatics, procrastination with Emma, you know, all the P's.
Yeah. Just to explain to our listeners, so pragmatics, it's when you are saying it's cold here, and you mean, could you please open the window by that, or something like that, right?
Exactly.
It's when you have an utterance in a language which by the first look it looks like it means something, but then there's kind of a hidden meaning behind it, and it kind of depends on the culture as well.
Yeah.
And, yeah. Am I saying the right thing? Because I'm getting confused myself.
No, you got it right. Yeah, pragmatics. I always describe it as like the underlying meaning of something. Like you've got the meaning of the words, and then you've got the meaning, the meaning of what you're saying, and it's the meaning, the pragmatics that I studied, and I wrote a whole like 16,000 word paper on politeness theory, and like I wrote a whole chapter just on the use of please and how using please isn't actually that polite and stuff like that. But that's also a neglected area, is teaching pragmatics. But then again, one could say that teaching pragmatics is quite difficult because pragmatics relates somewhat to culture, which is exactly what you said when describing it. And when we're looking at English from an English as a lingua franca perspective, and also considering the fact that the majority of English learners are not going to speak to native English speakers. They are going to more likely communicate with non-natives, like statistically speaking. Like whose culture do we focus on when we're talking about teaching pragmatics? Should I focus on the pragmatics of how people speak in Yorkshire, where I'm from, or some like London or something,
Yeah, it should really depend on your needs, yeah. But
yeah,
the thing is, like, everybody just hears American English, British English,
yeah,
and sometimes it's like such a narrow way of looking at things, right? There's more to it than just that.
yeah,
And
it's
but
very
just,
true.
so
Yeah.
for example, if I invited Emma, sorry, if I invited Emma, I can't even remember her name. What's going on?
Oh, terrible. Done no research on me.
Halfway through, almost through the whole interview, and I forgot what her name is. Wow.
For listeners, we are on Zoom doing this, and it literally says my name in the corner of the screen.
Okay, yeah, it does, but it's so small because I'm doing this on my phone that I can't possibly see. Okay.
It's funny. I love it. I love like anyone who joins my podcast episodes or my live streams on Twitch. They're just like pure chaos, and I love it. I love like a proper chaotic, like someone messes up or I just love it.
I tend to leave these things in the podcast as well. So if I'm glad it doesn't insult you. I forgot your name. I know who you are. Okay, I know. It's just it happened. Okay, it was more like it's a slip. Okay, it was a slip.
Anyway, what were you going to ask?
I don't know what my original point was. So.
No, that's the worst part. Yeah, when you end up getting so sidetracked, you forgot what you originally wanted to do.
Talking about pragmatics, yeah.
Yep.
So what if I invited you onto my podcast and said, "Hey, Emma, would you like to be a guest on Zdenek's English podcast?" And if you said something like, "Yeah, I'll try to make it," and then that means because you're British, that most likely means
no.
I'm not so sure about that.
Yeah.
I don't think so. But
yeah.
I want to be nice, so I'm gonna say I'll try to make it to this bloke because I don't want to upset him. But if you say this in my culture, that means that's like almost like 80% chance that it will happen.
You reminded me of a very funny story, and it's when I was at uni. We were going from our second year into our third year. Okay, so I was living with 2 girls and 1 guy. Okay, so there's 4 of us in total. And at the start of every academic year at university in the UK, I mean, I'm explaining this, but I'm sure you're familiar. It's more for listeners. We have something called Freshers Week, which lasts for 1 to 2 weeks, sometimes 2, but usually it's 1. And it's a week where you have no lectures, no classes or anything. And it's just a time to like meet new people and go out clubbing or go out, like join some societies and stuff like that. It's just a nice time to make friends at uni. And there was this guy from second year who had made friends with the guy that I was living with in third year. Okay. And this guy, I can't remember where he was from. He wasn't English, that's for sure. I think he was like, maybe he was Dutch. I'm not sure. So he was from the, I want to say he's from Dutchland, but it's not Dutchland. It's from the Netherlands. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. It's because they speak Dutch. They're from the Netherlands. Makes no sense in English.
Holland, yeah. Just to
Holland as well. Yeah.
It's not correct apparently because it's one of the provinces. So Dutch people will tell you that this is actually not right, but everybody uses it anyway. So
yeah.
To refer to the Netherlands.
Yeah. I see. So yeah, he was from the Netherlands, and he wanted to come back for Freshers Week, and he asked this guy that I was living with if he could stay at ours during Freshers Week. Yeah. Now, this guy didn't really want to be with us during Freshers Week. He just wanted a free place to stay, so that he could avoid paying for a hotel or something, basically.
Yeah.
And this guy, the guy I was living with, he said, oh yeah, you can stay at ours anytime. Yeah, it's fine. Now, let me just make this really clear. If an English person ever says to you, you can stay at ours at any time, we do not mean it. And I know that sounds so weird because people are like, well, why do you say it then? And it's like, well, it's just to sound polite and friendly, but we don't really want you to stay. Go get a hotel. What are you doing staying at ours? Get out of our house.
Hang on a minute, Emma. So is it the phrase anytime, or is it the intonation, or what? What is it that makes it negative then? I still don't get it.
No, just a cultural thing.
I have taken pragmatic scores before. I still don't get it. Okay, so explain that to us.
This is going to be Brit Pragmatics 101. Yeah, inviting people to your house. No, it's more of just a cultural thing. It's nothing to do with the words or intonation, the grammar, anything like that. It's just simply a cultural thing. So if they meaning an English person or a Brit, I think I could extend it to further, beyond just England.
Yep.
We might say to you like something like, oh yeah, you can stay at ours, but we don't really want you to. We just want to look
Hang on
nice.
a minute. How do you say if you want them to stay? How do you say it then?
But we don't. We don't.
So you
Go
don't,
get a hotel.
And just staying at yours.
No,
that's it. You might want to do that at some point, right? If you like that person a lot, or if you want to be more friendly than usual, I don't know. There might come a time when you want those people to stay at yours. So what do you say then?
We would probably add a little bit more. So if they say something like, yeah, come and stay at ours at any time, I'd be like, they don't want me there. But if they said something like, no, I'm serious, like come and stay at any time, we've got a guest room that you can stay in, like really, we would love to have you, then I'd be like, great, I know I've got a place to stay. All right, so this is really important. Like you definitely don't want to just turn up to their house and be like, I'm here, with these suitcases. Yeah. But this is pretty much what this guy wanted to do. The poor Dutch guy, he said to this guy, let's call him Adam, right? The guy I was living with is not his real name. Let's call him Adam, right? So we got Adam and Dutch guy just to separate it. So Adam had said, yeah, you can come and stay at ours at any time, just being very, English, like, yeah, come anytime. Dutch guy was like, oh, great, that means I've got a place to stay, free hotel, He then ends up messaging Adam, like, oh, Adam, can I come and stay? Of course, Adam is a poo in his pants, is like, oh, God, I didn't actually think he'd take up the offer, Being English, he's like, yeah, sure. You can come. And then straight away, Adam is then messaging me like, Emma, I need some help. I've just told this guy, the Dutch guy, that I don't want him to, that he can stay, but I don't want him to stay because really he's got nowhere to stay. It would just be the sofa and it would be really uncomfortable for us all, So, yeah, you've got to watch out. Like in the end, I ended up having to message the Dutch guy and be like, look, I'm so sorry, you can't stay here. He got really mad at me and ended up like blocking me. And I was like, well, problem solved. He's not staying. And I mean, I hardly knew the guy anyway, so I wasn't that upset over it. But yeah.
So is this only when it comes to spoken English? Because it could be the same with written English. So again, going back to the example of me inviting you onto this podcast. So you said yes. I can't remember your exact words, but
I think it was, how much are you going to pay me?
I don't remember that.
I think we agreed on like $1,000, didn't we?
I'm not sure about that.
10 grand.
I'm not sure about that, but that was agreed. That was what I agreed on with Eva.
Oh,
and her podcast was Speak English Like a Native with Eva. That was a different person.
She's my evil twin. Yeah, speak English like a native with Eva. Yeah. By the way, if there's any teachers called Eva with a channel called Speak English Like a Native with Eva, we do not mean you.
So I don't know, like how can we know sometimes, you know? I guess you have to look for also like non-verbal communication, like the way the person is looking at you. But
yeah,
sometimes you are so polite, you British, that it's hard to say sometimes, you know.
Yeah, I guess, you know, if you wanted to be absolutely sure, then do just say to them like, look, don't. I mean, I do this with my British friends. I'm like, don't be British about it. If you don't want me to stay, then just tell me. I'm not going to be offended. And they'll say, actually, yeah, can you stay somewhere else? Or, you know, something like that. And I also kind of have developed this habit as well, where if I'm talking to people who aren't English or aren't British, and I say something like, yeah, you can stay at ours, I will say to them, like, I'm not being English about this. Like, you can actually say, just to clarify, then they're not confused, because they maybe know about how we are, you know. We're very weird people on this island.
Nah, there's a lot of good about them as well. So, you know, you make up for it with different things, so it's fine.
With the food. Is it the food that makes up for it?
I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
The excellent cuisine that we have over here makes up for it.
I'm not talking about food. I'm not talking about weather, okay? I'm talking about other things.
Oh, don't get me started on the weather. Actually, it's a beautiful blue-skied sunny day today. So it did rain a little bit this morning, though, I must admit.
I actually do like the British weather myself. Like I've lived in London a couple of times, and I don't know why everybody says it's so bad. Like I quite like it. It's quite changeable. It's mild. It doesn't rain as often as everybody says it rains. I don't know. It's just
it doesn't.
Overrated. Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah,
it's not so bad in my opinion. You know, like I live in a landlocked country, and that's boring.
Yeah,
I quite like it.
But the food, having some diversity is good.
Yeah, not a big fan of the food, but but I'm not a big fan of food of my own country. So, you know,
so you justify it. Yeah. Just hate all food. I think the best thing about English food, whenever someone says to me, I don't like English food, I always tell them, like, you need to try English desserts. English desserts are the best things. Whenever I go to any other country, like when I lived in Spain for a year, I used to think, oh God, I'm really craving like bread and butter pudding, or I'm really craving trifle, or like I just used to crave the desserts and sweets and cakes and stuff that we had. Honestly, I think they're the best. Anyone can fight me on it and be like, oh, but in my country, they're better. No, they're not. I'm going to shut you down right now. Of course, it's all subjective, but yeah.
All right, cool. Okay, well, I don't want to take too much of your time, but just want to ask you a few questions about the gaming. So,
sure.
So I'm not gonna ask you why you got into it and you started teaching, because that would obviously be a long story.
I can cut it short if you like. I can keep it short. I know I talk a lot, but I can keep it short.
No, I do like listening to you and hearing the whole story, but I don't want to take too much of your time. So I just wonder like what kind of games you play, which is obviously something everybody asks you all the time, but I haven't heard the answer yet. So I want to know. I genuinely want to know, because I like games myself. So
yeah, it's always good to meet a fellow gamer. I play such a mix of games. Like, I talk to some people and they're like, oh, I only play Call of Duty, and it's like the only thing they play is first person shooters. That's pretty much the only thing I don't play. But then again, in saying that, my boyfriend and his friends did force me to play Counter-Strike for the first time in my life. And they put me straight into a ranked match. And I had no idea. I'm just like, wee, like shooting this gun, and like, Emma, don't do that. We're in a ranked match. I'm like, what? We're playing against people. So yeah, that was my experience of first-person shooters. I uninstalled that game straight away and had a breakdown. It was horrible. It just builds up so much anxiety. I can't play first-person shooters. But the games that I actually do play, I mean, on stream, I tend to play games that are more story-based. So I've played games like Life is Strange. I've played Tell Me Why. Played what else?
Play The Walking Dead. That's also kind of in the kind of vibe. It has a similar vibe. The Walking Dead.
It is, yeah. I haven't played it simply because I don't like zombies. Like, I really don't like them. I hate zombies.
I love them.
Nope. More for you. More zombies for you. Like, I don't like them. Like, my boyfriend used to watch The Walking Dead all the time, you know, when it was most popular, like at its peak. And even just like listening to the I used to be like, can you put headphones on? Like, I can't. It creeps me out. Like, I can't sleep for like a day or two. Really, I'm like a child. I can't walk around in the dark if I've heard like, you know, noises like that. I've scared myself now, you know. Like, I'm not going to sleep tonight during that zombie noise. But yeah, I mean, I play sorts of games like that. Right now on stream, I'm playing Detroit Become Human. I really like that. That's quite interesting. But other games I play, I mean, I also have a Nintendo Switch, and I played Zelda, like Breath of the Wild, really good game. RPGs in general, so I absolutely love like the early Final Fantasy games. So like
I remember those, yeah.
Absolute best. Like, they're really just like, the stories are just so well written. Pokemon, right now I'm playing Pokemon in Spanish.
Okay.
So that's really good. I'm playing a few games in Spanish. Sims as well, love Sims. If I just want to do something a bit brain dead for a while, I'll, you know, turn Sims on for a little bit, like, you know, make a little family, kill them, you know.
no zombie filter, no zombie mod. Just Sims, the base game.
No zombies. No, can't deal with them. I remember when I was really young and I was playing The Sims 1. Like, this is how far ago it was. You know, back when I was really young playing The Sims. The Sims 1. And I still remember, for anyone who plays The Sims, right, they will know the Goth family. Okay. I was playing the Goth family, and I can still remember there was a ghost that came out, and the ghosts in The Sims 1 were rubbish. Like, the graphics were terrible, but it scared the living daylights out of me. And I remember I was shaking. I was like shaking. I turned off the computer so fast. I ran downstairs. I remember my mum was in the bath, and I just ran into the bathroom. My poor mum's like laid in the bath trying to relax, bless her. And I'm like, Mum, I've just seen a ghost. And she's like, what? What do you mean you've seen a ghost? On The Sims. I've just seen a ghost on The Sims. She's like, what are you talking about? I thought you'd actually seen a real ghost on The Sims, because the house was also haunted. So yeah, we saw ghosts frequently. But yeah, I play all sorts, really. But I started to try and play a bit more in Spanish. And that's helping me a lot.
Does it help you get better in Spanish too, or?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I have like a little notepad file on my phone, and whenever I come across like grammatical structures that are a bit weird, I just save it, and then I'll ask my teacher or my boyfriend, who's Spanish, and I'll ask him like, what does this mean? I've started to do this a little bit with Japanese. I mean, it's harder to do in Japanese because it's all like with the kanji and stuff. It's hard to understand. But I started to just like read little things in Japanese, and then like take a picture of it and ask my teacher what it means and stuff. And I find it really, really helps playing video games, because you're doing something you enjoy, for one, which is good. So you don't even feel like you're studying. A lot of the time, we've sometimes like played the game already, so we know the storyline.
And also, you would play the game anyway, like in your native language. Why not just kill two birds with one stone? You know,
exactly.
This is a brilliant thing to do. So for you, I guess the story-based games are the best. Would you agree with me? because there's a lot of text, and
Yeah.
oh, I find that something like Skyrim is quite nice because you have to read all the quests, you have to understand the quests, and also when you are in the town, people are actually talking to you, so you have good pronunciation model.
Exactly.
And, you know, so
yeah,
but
yeah.
if you play something like a 3D shooter, I guess the only English you can get from it is like you are on a team with someone, right? So it's like you have the team speak, but then it depends on who you play with, because not everybody's English is good enough, and also the language is kind of reduced to just like short phrases. Like,
yeah, like kill him, run, what are you doing? Yeah.
and there's swearing involved too, so it's like, does it really reflect real life? I don't know.
It could do.
I
They
hope
got a
not.
very, very violent friend group, maybe. I mean, it's funny. Like my boyfriend plays Counter-Strike and these sorts of games, Tarkov, like Escape from Tarkov and stuff. And there was one time when he was playing Counter-Strike. He was playing Counter-Strike. And I was just sitting here. He was sitting literally just next to me on his computer, saying something like some kind of gibberish. And I was like, what are you saying? What are you saying? He's like, what? I was like, what are you saying? Because he wasn't speaking Spanish, he wasn't speaking Catalan, and he wasn't speaking English. So I was like, what is he doing? Who's he talking to? He said, oh. And then he like had this little chuckle. He's like, I'm speaking Russian. And I was like, since when did you speak Russian? And he does not speak any Russian, but he knows these like little phrases like, come on, let's go, shoot, kill, like literally just little things like that. Hopefully we'll never go to Russia and have to use those phrases, you know. But I just found it so funny that he was just like, I'd never heard him speak Russian, and there he is chatting away with these Russian guys. Yeah.
You end up remembering these because you hear them all over again, you know. So that's it. Like, it depends on the people you play with. So yeah, this is learning the language in a natural way.
It is. Yeah.
Fantastic, Emma. Honestly, I have had a lot of fun talking to you. Thank you very much for being on the podcast.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, I'm going to end on this note. Yeah, you can come back anytime, Emma. Yeah. And when I say that, I
do you
actually
mean it?
That. Yeah, I don't mean it in a British way. I mean it.
Thank you.
In a literal sense.
Thank you. Thanks for clarifying that. just to make things clear. Thank you.
You're good fun, Emma, and good luck with all your projects, and stay strong.
Thank you. You too. And thank you to the listeners as well. Yeah. Thank you.
And the viewers too.
Oh, our viewers too. Bye-bye.
We don't want to feel left out. Yeah. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.